Good afternoon. I am Charlotte Scott-Terrell, and I want to talk today about communication, effective communication. I've always been of the mind that we don't want to have working relationships because generally they don't work. But what we do want to have is relationships that work, and communication is the key to that. So, first of all, let's define what communication is. What is communication? Any takers on that? Well, my definition of communication is the exchange of messages using words, gestures, and nonverbal cues. And you really have to be cognizant of what those cues are because it may be your intention to relay one message and you indeed are relaying another message to someone else. Speaking the same language does not necessarily mean that communication is taking place. Well, it could be taking place, but not effectively. It's only effective when both parties are on the same page and have a clear understanding of what's been said, what's expected, and what the message is and what the intentions of the message are, or the messages are. Let's see. Oh, and one important key that I forgot, the key factor to effective communication is being able to identify the nonverbal cues. How do you do that? Well, we'll talk more in detail about that during this session, but it's going to be very important for you to know and understand that it's just a matter of watching. We've gotten into the technology, we've got email, texting, Facebook, Instagram, all of these other social media mechanisms, and we've forgotten how to just have a one-on-one conversation with another person. Sincere, genuine, heart-to-heart, just good old-fashioned talking to somebody else. And so that's kind of what I want to get into today and how to identify those cues. One of the important things that I wanted to mention is that when you are an expert or even a person who is comfortable or more comfortable with effective communication, you'll begin to notice cues that could make you a little bit unhappy. They could be unpleasant. And when I say that, I'm referring to those of you who have children or those of you who teach children or youth. Because a lot of times we teach them not to say certain things, not to behave in a certain manner. However, I don't know why I like to say that, excuse me. However, they learn to communicate without using the words that you say not to use or not overtly exhibiting the behaviors that you said not to exhibit. But there's that little subtle intonation, there's that little subtle jilt of the head that lets you know, he's being disrespectful. Should I check it now or should I check it when we get home? Should I check it in this classroom in front of all the students or should I pull them out into the hallway? So that's kind of what I mean by it could be a blessing and a curse. But it's very important either way to just know what you're talking about and what the other person is trying to relate to you in their message. You could say easily, when will this be over? Or you could say, what time is this going to be over? One is an inquiry. The other is I'm really bored. I don't want to hear any more of this. I'm ready to go. So I wanted to slightly add a little humor to what the nonverbal cues can implicate. But I also wanted to let you know that it's important to be able to observe and know what those cues are. Let's explore the different communication temperaments. Well, they're the different personality temperaments. And just imagine as we're talking about these 4 temperaments that everybody knows, that there are communication styles that are generally custom to these personality types, or even if they're not relegated to just these personality types, this communication happens within the realms of these four temperaments. The four temperaments, as we know, are the air, the earth, the water, and the fire. The fire is the ruling, the water is kind of laid back, the earth is orderly and organized, and then the air is socially outgoing. And we know those as the sanguine, which is the air, the melancholic, which is the earth, the phlegmatic, which is water, and the cholera, which is fire. I probably fall into, I can be kind of laid back. I'm a little on the shy side, as you can see. But generally, I probably would fall into the sanguine. Pretty social, don't have any difficulty meeting other people. Okay, so let's move this along. Listening skills are important, and there are 4 keys to that. You stop, you listen, you actually pay attention, and you give that person your undivided attention. You're not on your phone, you're not on the computer, you're actually taking time to stop, look, and listen. The second key element of listening is to evaluate what was said. Did she just say that X, Y, and Z? Or did you just say X, Y, and Z? You can really confirm what you're saying to the person as you're speaking with them directly. Then validate, repeating what they said. Did you actually say that lunch is at 12 o'clock as opposed to 1 o'clock today? And once you've done the confirmation, you acknowledge and react. So you acknowledge what was said, they acknowledge what was said, and you agree or disagree as to what is on, whether or not you're on the same page. And a lot of times we look at what people say, but we don't really pay attention to what they're doing. For instance, this is a quick exercise. I've seen it before, where you tell your audience, do what I say and don't do what I do. So walk with me through this exercise. Please bear with me. Touch your ear. Touch your eye. Touch your nose. Did you find yourself touching the parts of my face or your face that I was touching, as opposed to listening and actually doing what I actually said? Kudos to you if you were actually following instruction. But those of you who were not, I'm going to meet you after school. No, but those of you who were not, it's just something to think about. I'm not chastising you, but it's just something to think about. Sometimes we don't listen, we don't pay attention, we don't watch. Let's quickly go through the ways to really identify body language and how it works. When you're talking to someone, you look at them from head to toe. And that's going to be my main focus on this, because it can be long and drawn out, but I'm going to keep it short and simple and to the point. With the head, is it tilted? When somebody asks you a question, if they're tilting their head, there's an interest. You've piqued their concern. If they're looking like this, it could mean, yeah, right. If they have an aha moment, it could be kind of tilted back. If they're thinking, it could be kind of looking into the air and trying to conjure up thoughts. I do that often. Think about the hands. Are they nervous? Are they shaking? Are their arms folded? That could mean you're not welcome in. That could mean that I'm uncomfortable. Or it could also mean I'm listening. And sometimes, people like me in particular, this is kind of how I sit sometimes in a setting where I'm in the audience, just because it's just comfortable. It's not that I'm in disbelief or anything like that, or that I'm being guarded, but it can mean that for some people. But for me, if I'm in the audience, I just sit this way because I just like to have my own space, and it just kind of is more comfortable when my arms are situated, folded. Also, Look at their feet. Look at their legs. Are their legs crossed? Are their toes tapping? Is there fidgeting? Is there moving around with their legs and shifting from here to there? Look at their eyes. That's classic. We've talked about that over the years. I'm sure in communication you've always heard to make sure that you're staring into someone's eyes, but be mindful of their culture. Because if someone is not looking in your eyes, it's not necessarily indicative of them being disrespectful. It just may be a cultural thing where they are taught not to do that. Also, if you are uncomfortable looking into someone's eyes, you can look at their eyebrows. It's a trick that I learned years ago. I usually don't do it. I look in people's eyes. But if you feel uncomfortable doing that and you feel like, oh, I'm staring this person down, ooh, I feel awkward, stare at their eyebrows, and that lets them know that you're paying attention. It gives the impression that you're looking into their eyes, and it makes you comfortable so that if you're not looking into their eyes, it's okay. You're still looking in that direction. And then mirroring the gestures. If this person is talking with their hands and you feel comfortable doing that, and you find yourself doing that because they're doing it, that's okay. That means you're very engaged in the conversation. And that's a part of it, is mirroring the gestures. But also mirroring the behavior, mirroring the mood of the conversation. If this person is somber and serious and kind of on the maybe pensive side, they're a thoughtful person, then joking and laughing may not be appropriate. If this person is joking and you're not, that may be uncomfortable for either you or them. But it only becomes effective if you are married in your communication. Let's see. With that being said, I just want you to remember those things. Pay attention. Mirror gestures. Give minimum, we call them in my field of work. I'm in education as well as in therapy. I'm not in therapy, but I am a therapist and a life coach. And so in our practice, we call them minimum encouragers, when we're nodding in agreement, or nodding, just acknowledging that we're hearing and we're understanding what's being said. Also, making sure that you are, like I said, paying attention. You are mirroring the behaviors. You are clear on what's being said, and you validate what's being said, and then you acknowledge your understanding. Those are the major points of communication. I wish I could have gotten more into the temperaments and how they work and how they interact with each other, but on our next session, maybe we'll talk more about personality types. Have a great day, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Again, my name is Charlotte Scott-Terrell. Take care.